Hi everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a video that I've wanted to do for such a long time. Steph Bora used to do these videos like a year, 2 years ago, and I've always wanted to do one, but I've never got round to it because it takes quite a bit of planning and figuring out exactly what books and songs I want to talk about. So today I'm here with what I'm sure will be part one, because as I'm filming this, Taylor Swift dropped 2 new albums 2 days ago, but I've listened to it a few times, but I've not quite got my head around all the songs yet. I've not quite matched them to books. So these are all ones that I already had, and then once I get my head around the Tortured Poets Department albums, then I'm sure there will be a part 2 to this with some of those songs and just general other songs as well. I'm going to do it a couple of different ways. So for some songs I've got more than one book to talk about, and for some books I've got more than one song. So we'll just alternate between focusing on songs and books, but whatever, you'll see what I mean when we get into it. So we're going to start by talking about a specific book that has quite a few different songs that I think go well with it, and it is Magnolia Parks. The series as a whole, but kind of more specifically book 1. I'm not going to do spoilers in this, by the way. I'm going to vaguely kind of talk around things. I'm not going to give explicit spoilers. I might mention things that happen in the books, but anything that I mention, it's like a minor thing, not a spoiler, not kind of revealing anything about the plot. So yeah, first book we're going to talk about is Magnolia Parks, and I've got 3 different songs. This series, even just the first book, is an absolute roller coaster, so there's so many songs, but I've chosen 3 specifically that I think fit Magnolia Parks very well. The first one is It Over Now by Taylor Swift, and I've got a few different lyrics that I think very much match. I slept all alone, you still wouldn't go. I feel like that kind of links to the fact that Magnolia and BJ are never really over. They're like, and there's another lyric that goes with this as well. Was it over then and is it over now? They're constantly like crossing the lines between, is this getting back on track? Do we hate each other? Do we love each other? Are we together? Are we not? Like the fact that BJ still stays over at Magnolia's house and like nothing happens between them, but they're still kind of, you know, crossing those boundaries and crossing those lines between, are they gonna get back together? Are they not? And you just never really kind of know throughout literally the whole series what is going on with them. And then another couple of lyrics. Lion Traitor. I feel like if Magnolia was a bit less poised, she would absolutely be like screaming at BJ that he is a lion traitor, particularly in the first couple of Magnolia books. And then You Search in Every Model's Bed, referencing the fact that BJ obviously sleeps with a lot of people throughout the books. Obviously I won't explain why, you get to know like why he does that and stuff, but again, I'm avoiding spoilers, so I'm kind of talking around things a little bit, but I think that song just represents the whole Magnolia Park series. Like, is it over? Is it not? Are we together? Are we not? Are we getting back together? Are we not? Just the constant back and forth that goes on between Magnolia and BJ. The next one that I think fits the series very well is The Way I Loved You, again by Taylor Swift. Specifically the first book, I think this fits very well. Just, I've not got specific lyrics from this one, but just the whole message of the song basically being like, yeah, I'm with someone else and like he's nice and he treats me well, but like there's no kind of passion, there's no kind of spark. And if you've read the first book, you'll know that throughout that book Magnolia has a lot of like, she's in relationships that she's not even really in. Some of the boys are awful, but some of them are perfectly nice boys that would treat her well, but she just always goes back to BJ even though it's toxic. It's like she always misses that fire that she has with BJ, and she just never quite finds exactly that same thing with anyone else. Even though she knows that BJ probably isn't good for her and the relationship isn't healthy, she still misses that even if she's with someone that treats her like perfectly well. And then the last song for Magnolia Parks is another Taylor Swift one and it's Style. I don't necessarily think the tone of Style matches, but just again the whole premise of the song, like we never go out of style, constantly going around in circles even though they know how it's gonna end. It always ends in some kind of argument. They just keep going back to each other over and over and over again, and they can't seem to stay away from each other. Another book that I think fits well with Style, again definitely not the tone. This next book I'm going to talk about has got quite a melancholy tone throughout most of it, and obviously Style the song doesn't, but Ghosted by J.M. Darhauer, I think it is. Again, quite similarly in this book, it's not a similar relationship to Magnolia and BJ. The relationship in Ghosted I feel like is a lot more mature and kind of grown up and not toxic in the same sense. But again, the couple, especially the female main character, knows how it's going to go, and she's been going round and round and round in circles with this man for years, and she's finally set the boundary of like, no, we're done. She's like left him, and then he comes back into her life again, and she's like, I don't know what to do because he's here and he's trying, but I feel like I know how this is going to go. But also, like, it's always him, and they always just kind of keep going back to each other, even through the really difficult things that they are going through. Again, the tone of the book and the song don't match, but I think the message and that idea of constantly going back to something that's probably not the best relationship for you, and you know it's not the best relationship for you, but you keep going back, there's something that always pulls you back, I think matches Magnolia Parks and Ghosted very well. So now we're going to focus on a song. This is what I mean. So we focus on a book that had multiple songs. The next one is a song that I think fits a couple of different books, and it is another Taylor Swift song. I said these aren't all, they're not all Taylor Swift songs. The next one actually isn't, but I feel like Taylor Swift songs just match books so well. Anyway, 'Tis the Damn Season. The first book, I think this fits really well, because the song overall to me is about like the temporary nature of relationships, like being in a relationship and knowing it's not going to last, but just kind of taking it for what it is. And the first book I think this fits is Book Lovers. Now, I'm not saying it perfectly matches the relationship, because obviously Book Lovers is somewhat of a romance book, so it's not necessarily the same ending that the song predicts. Because our female main character in Book Lovers is seen as like an emotionless shark, is like the word people use to describe her, she never really fully lets herself fall or be invested in the relationship with Charlie, who is our male main character. And I feel like she always just kind of has it in her head that it's not going to last, like no one could love a shark. She shouldn't love anyone because she's this like emotionless career woman. She doesn't need to be in a relationship. And also just the vibe of the song fits Book Lovers for me. The fact that it's in a small town, the fact that it's like, I'll go back to LA. I can't remember what the big city is. I don't think it is LA. It might be New York, I think. But just the idea of, oh, I'll have this thing while I'm in this small town, staying at my parents' house. It's not her parents' house in the book. Is it his parents or some kind of his relation? But that idea of like, I'm back in this small town that has a lot of family ties, but then I'll leave that, I'll leave all of it behind and I'll go back to my big city life. I feel like that matches Book Lovers really well. She's kind of, throughout the book, battling with that idea of, you know, small town versus, but I'm supposed to be this career woman in this big city, and she's kind of battling with those two different identities. And then the next book I think fits this is Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score. Again, not the ending, but that constant kind of back and forth, okay, we'll do this for now, but it's not going to last. And there's a few more specific lyrics for this one, because Lucian and Sloane's story has so much like history to it. So the first one, it always leads to you in my hometown, because they are both back in their hometowns. They actually are both staying at the parents' houses throughout the book. Just the idea of, even though they hate each other, every time they're together they're just kind of drawn, especially every time Lucian comes home, because Sloane does live in the hometown, but Lucian doesn't, he isn't always there. But every time he comes back, it's like he's always drawn to Sloane, Sloane is always drawn to him, but like they don't let themselves because they hate each other because of what happened in the past. And then kind of linking to that, there's an ache in you put there by the ache in me. I won't expand obviously on why there is an ache, but if you've read the book you might know why that makes sense, why one of them put an ache in the other and now they're both hurt because of how they hurt each other in the past. And they're constantly, even in the future, constantly in the present, going around still hurting each other, insulting each other all the time, constantly arguing, because they can't kind of let go of the past. And then when they decide to make a truce, again I won't go into detail, but later in the book when they make that truce, it's like, we're just going to do it for now. Like, they're still not accepting that it could be anything, it's just like a temporary truce that they agree upon. And a lyric I think matches that very well is, we could call it even, you could call me babe for the weekend. So it's like, let's just forget the past, let's forget all the hurt and call it even, let's call a truce. And we could have a bit of something, but they still won't accept that they are clearly very much in love with each other. So with those two, it's not like the whole story of the song matches the trajectory of the story in the books. It's just that vibe of like, they won't accept how kind of serious the relationship is, and they're thinking that it's temporary and that they should go back to other things even though they clearly belong with that person. The next one is not a Taylor Swift song, and it is C'est La Vie by the Stereophonics, and that matches perfectly to me with Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. I unironically love Punk 57. I will not hear slander. I get that people don't like it, but I do. And this song, it's like the song was written for the book. So first of all, the constant mentioning of the Ferris wheel throughout the song. It's not like a Ferris wheel is the biggest thing in Punk 57, but whenever I think of Punk 57, one of the first things I think of is the Ferris wheel, because to me that kind of represents that abandoned theme park that they go to. And I feel like that plays such a big part. Obviously I won't reveal why, but if you've read the book you might know. I feel like that is just such a significant setting in the story, and that kind of represents the whole Ferris wheel thing in the song for me. Singing out loud all the words that we know, because our two main characters in Punk 57, Ryan and Misha, before they know each other, they write songs together over letters when they are pen pals right near the beginning. And so it's like, again, the idea of singing, we know the words because we wrote them, referencing, and that again is quite a big part of the book, the fact that they write these songs together. So again, I feel like that fits well. It's a long walk back to where we've just been. Again, I won't spoil anything, but when Ryan and Misha meet, obviously it's not necessarily how particularly Misha anticipated it would be. Ryan isn't exactly who he thought she would be. So I feel like that goes well. It's a long walk back to where we've just been. They've gone from being like best friends, like soulmates, being pen pals, and then they've met, and it's so different. And it's going to take them a long time to get from here, the present, where they've actually met, back to the feelings that they had before they actually properly knew one another and met in person. You Believe You're the King of the Jungle, again, kind of links to that. The fact that Ryan is like this really popular girl at school. She thinks she's like, you know, top dog kind of thing. And Misha sees just straight through it because he knows the real her. And as soon as he meets her, he's like, what? This isn't you. And then last one, Get Out This Town, Look Around, We Don't Need It. Again, I feel like that references Misha just kind of being not desperate, like obviously he's not very nice to Ryan. It's not like he's, I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like there is this inner desperation that he channels as being horrible to her, for her to just stop acting the way that she's acting and stop being someone that she isn't, because it's clear that Ryan isn't this person that she's pretending to be at all. And I feel like he just really wants her to just give up the act and just get out of this town surrounded by these people that don't want what is best for her, and just go back to who he kind of knows that she actually is. The next one, I'm going to talk about The Deal by Elle Kennedy. And I think this really matches They Don't Know About Us by One Direction. The whole vibe that Hannah doesn't tell her friends how kind of serious her and Garrett are. Again, this isn't like a spoiler big scene, but I think it's when they're in a car park or something and her friends are stood quite a way away and something happens between Hannah and Garrett and her friends are like, what? Like, I didn't even know you were seeing him. And Garrett's like, yeah, we're serious. Like, start telling people we're together. I feel like, because people, obviously Garrett has this reputation, people don't think that he's necessarily capable of being in a deep emotional relationship. And I think this song really represents that. Like, they know we're kind of seeing each other, but they don't know about the I love yous. They don't know that we stay up all night talking. They don't know about this like deep emotional connection that we actually have. And then another song that I think goes really well with The Deal is Someone to Stay. I can't remember who it's by. I will pop it on the screen. But because of what has happened to Hannah in her past, again, I won't say what it is. I would recommend looking up trigger warnings for this book if you don't know what happened to Hannah and you're worried that it could be something that might trigger you. I would definitely look it up. But I won't say it just in case anyone doesn't want to know what has happened to her in her past. She just really needs someone that's going to stay and that's going to stick around her and that's actually going to give her some vulnerability and not kind of skirt around the issues that she faces because of what happened to her and the effects that it's had. I feel like she just really needed someone that wasn't going to ignore it and was actually going to work with her to help her overcome it as much as is possible, because obviously what happened to her was horrific. She just needed that person that was just going to stay and wasn't going to give up on her when it got difficult, and obviously she found that in Garrett. It's just such a beautiful song. The next book we're going to talk about is Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi, and I feel like this song just sums up Aaron Warner and his feelings for Juliet. I Want to Be Yours by the Arctic Monkeys. If you don't know this song, I'm not going to read off like loads of specific lyrics, but the song is basically like, I want to be your everything. It literally, the lyrics are like, I want to be your vacuum cleaner, breathing in your dust. I want to be your Ford Cortina. Like, I want to be your everything, every part of your life, I want to be in it. And I feel like that's the level of love that Aaron has for Juliet. I feel like he wants to be with her on every single level. He wants to be in every part of her life. She is his everything. He wants to be her everything. Like, he's not taking this relationship lightly. He wants to be with her 100%. And I feel like this is a song that really covers, like, I want to be with you on this level, but also just on an everyday kind of vibe. Do you know what I mean? Like vacuum cleaner, just like everyday things. Does that make sense? Like, he doesn't just want this big grand love. Like, he wants to just be with her actually every day, properly, forever. And again, I feel like this song just kind of encapsulates the whole, like, the fact that he just wants to be her absolute everything. And then the last one for today's video, we're going to talk about Hopeless by Elsie Silver. And to me, the perfect song for this book is Wildest Dreams, again, by Taylor Swift. Because especially Bailey, I think Beau comes to terms quicker with the fact that he has feelings for Bailey. If you don't know the premise of the book, I won't obviously spoil anything, but the premise is like a fake engagement. So they have these like interactions and this connection, but Bailey especially, for longer than Beau, convinces herself that this can't be real. Like, there's no way it's real. There's no way someone like him would fall for someone like me. But she kind of knows that like she has feelings for him, but she just doesn't believe there's any way that it could ever be reciprocated. And I feel like this song again kind of covers the like temporary nature of relationships. And even though their relationship obviously isn't temporary, it's a romance book, we know they're gonna end up together, she very much convinces herself again that it is, and that it couldn't possibly be real. Also, I think this song, even though like when I listen to Wildest Dreams I don't automatically get like small town vibes, because Hopeless is a small town romance, there are a few lyrics in here that I think just match the setting very well. Standing in a nice dress staring at the sunset, red lips and rosy cheeks, linking to the fact that Bailey is obviously younger than Beau, and like she's young and innocent. And again, that's one of Beau's kind of, even though he knows he likes her, he's like, oh, but she's a lot younger than me, like could it ever work? Encapsulates the fact that Bailey doesn't think that she's worthy of him, but she wants him to remember her and remember the time that they had together in like a really positive light, not knowing that obviously they're clearly going to end up together. Again, we know this, it's a romance book. That is the end of today's video. I do hope you enjoyed this. If you did, I can definitely make more parts. Again, Miss Taylor Swift has just dropped 31 new songs. I'm sure I can find some links to some books in there quite easily once I give them another couple of listens. But yeah, if you did enjoy, please do give this video a thumbs up down below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!